Jackson from Reiki and Wellness. I'm so glad you're here. This is the first video of our video series answering any questions that you may have about Reiki practice. Like I had mentioned in the last video, Reiki is becoming more and more mainstream, and so with that comes some misinformation, and if you Google Reiki, you're going to come up with a lot of different opinions, beliefs, ways of teaching on the web. So I want to speak from my experience in hopes that it will clarify the practice for you. So I was really excited because I actually received a question on Facebook. So I'm going to read that here. I went for a session about 3 weeks ago. I don't really understand what happened, how it happened, or anything, but I must admit something changed. I'm not sure if it's all in my head or what. I really do not understand how it works. So it meaning Reiki. Now, I have a few other, if someone was asking this to me, I'd probably ask a few other questions just to get a little bit more clarity, but I'm just going to speak of Reiki generally from my experience, and then if that person has more questions or any feedback, you can just send me another note on Facebook. So Reiki is a spiritual healing practice similar to meditation and yoga. It promotes balance within the body. So typically after a Reiki treatment, your body is in healing mode. So when I say that it promotes balance within the system, it takes you from a state of coping to a state of healing. Let me explain the state of coping a little bit to you. This is sometimes known as the fight or flight reaction. So if you're put into a stressful situation, whether you're at work or you're, with your family, or you're alone, but your thoughts are running kind of rampant, thinking about the day or different situations or scenarios, your body can be stuck in that state of coping. So the state of fight or flight, it's where, our adrenaline is kind of kicking in and our cortisol levels go up. There's a whole physical response that's happening in that state. So when you experience a Reiki treatment, you're moving yourself from that fight or flight state to a state of healing. This is also known as rest and digest. So a lot of people, when they experience a Reiki treatment, will sometimes get gurgling or hear gurgling in their stomach, and they'll often say, oh, like I didn't eat, or get embarrassed. And honestly, as a Reiki practitioner myself, I think that is the most awesome thing I could possibly hear in a session, maybe besides someone going to sleep, because I know that their system is responding. Also, increased saliva production. So sometimes if a client is laying down on their back, they'll start swallowing a little bit more because of that increased saliva production. So those are just some of the examples of what can happen when your body is moving from the state of coping to a state of healing. What's also wonderful about it is because this shift is happening internally, the effects of a Reiki treatment can last much longer than just the length of the session. So let's say you go in for an hour session, you may notice changes, anywhere from 2 to 3 days afterwards. You might notice something, changes right away, which I hear often. People say that they feel more relaxed, more centered, calm. I had a client the other day who was experiencing some road rage right before the session. So when she came in to see me, she was a little revved up, which I didn't actually know about because she didn't mention it to me. But afterwards, she said that she thought it would be hard for her to stop thinking about it. But as soon as we started the treatment, her thoughts stopped. So that's a big statement, to have your thoughts stop, because I know a lot of people struggle with a racing mind and worrying. So to be able to have a practice where you're able to cease those thoughts and really just kind of feel centered is incredible. This can also happen with other spiritual practices like meditation and yoga. Reiki is different in the sense where all you have to do is show up. In meditation, there's usually a point of focus. You sit comfortably, you focus on either your breath or whatever your focus is for the session. In yoga, there's obviously a physical component. With Reiki, you just have to show up for a treatment or place your hands on yourself to practice if you are a practitioner. So I hope, when going back to the question, she's saying, I really don't understand what happened, how it happened, or anything, but I must admit something changed. So something did change. Your state went from a state of coping to a state of being centered and balanced. And from that place of being balanced, other changes can happen. One of the responses that I get is, oh, I feel better. And I don't really think people sometimes understand the magnitude of what feeling better can mean. So when you feel better, just think about that. When you're able to feel better, especially after not feeling well for a while, everything changes. The way that you speak to yourself changes. The way that you talk to other people changes. That affects how other people respond to you. It affects the choices that you make. It's kind of the catalyst of change. So it may seem subtle, and I think that the practice of Reiki is very subtle, but that subtle change can really be quite incredible. So I hope that was helpful for everyone, and I want to remind you that you can submit a question of your own to on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/reikiandwellness.org. You can also use the contact form on my website, reikiandwellness.org, to submit a question. If you have feedback on this answer, I'd love to hear from you. And I look forward to hearing what you think, what you have to say, and getting those questions in so I can be of service to you and provide a little bit more clarity around the practice of Reiki. Thanks so much, and I will see you next week.